All right, let's talk tight ends because we've had some tight ends go down. We just talked about Ebron went down. You've had some injuries. So who do we like on the waiver wire? You're going to need to come in and stream a tight end. Charles Clay is probably not there anymore after last week's. We talked about him and his ownership.
He could
percentage.
be, though. Yeah, I think he's definitely there to be picked up in a lot of waivers. I love Owen Daniels this week. He's available.
You gotta.
Almost every league. I mean, the majority of leagues he's available. And his matchup, we've been saying now for the last 2 weeks, play whoever's going up against Oakland. They did it again. And then here you have Peyton Manning coming up against Oakland, who Peyton Manning is a very intellectual guy. He knows the weaknesses and exploits the weaknesses of a defense. So I think it's a good bet that Owen Daniels could find pay dirt again this week. So he's one of my favorite streamers. Antonio Gates, if he is on waivers.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You pick up Gates.
Yeah.
Because then in a couple of weeks, Antonio Gates gets to play the Raiders.
I wonder how many teams he's on because he was suspended, so he didn't get to go into an IR spot. So this might be the week people actually pick him up. Larry Donnell had 5 catches,
and
Fells is out.
Yes. So he's a guy worth
He's
picking
okay.
up. Yeah.
And then anybody else stand out for you?
No, there's no more.
Jordan Reed went out this week too, so they're going to be people looking for
maybe if Kobe Fleener, if Dwayne Allen is still out on Thursday, he's a guy worth throwing out.
All right, let's talk about quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota comes off the bye this week. He might be available in your league. Derek Carr, if he's still there.
Are you hit the?
Send in the car. Send in the car.
Did you see the Twitter video that was made?
No.
Oh, someone made a video with that clip. And then Derek Carr's picture comes in right over it. So
I have not seen it.
Shout out to you, unnamed Twitter.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Carr's still about a 50% owned quarterback. So if you need somebody to play this week, I don't mind that. Although he's playing the Broncos.
Yeah, yeah.
I would not. I would definitely not want Carr against the Broncos.
Tyrod. I still like Tyrod Taylor. He had a down game, but there was.
I just don't think he's available in many leagues.
Yeah, we're just. These are quarterbacks that we think should be picked up and owned and played.
Well, you're also
regularly.
You're gonna see Tyrod Taylor dropped here.
Yes.
As waivers come today and people need bye weeks, you're not gonna maybe see him on waivers right now today, but in the morning you'll find him having been dropped for other options. I think
that's a good point.
Several people.
You think that Tyrod Taylor's gonna get dropped?
I think if someone picked him up and played him this week, and he had a down week. There is some vengeful fantasy owners who will cut him immediately.
Sam Bradford's only owned in 50% of the leagues right now, and he had a good week last week, so he's a great streaming option.
Has a great match.
Hint. Jay Cutler, what do we think of him if he gets Alshon Jeffery back?
If he gets Alshon Jeffery back, he's going up against the 32nd out of 32 teams ranked fantasy defense against the quarterback. So they're giving up a lot of points. Granted, 1 week was against Aaron Rodgers,
inflated,
but it's not as inflated as you'd think. They've consistently given up touchdowns through the air. So I like Jay Cutler this week. Andy Dalton is, I talked about him earlier. He has a terrible matchup against Seattle this week, but he's still available in over a quarter of the leagues. And if you want to talk about a guy where in a good matchup can put up 30-plus points, it's a guy like Andy Dalton.
All right, and defenses to pay attention to this week. The Chiefs are facing the Bears, depending on what weapons Cutler has, and they just haven't been a good offense. The Packers are facing the Rams. The Rams seem to have a ceiling on what they can score outside of the defensive side of the ball. The Patriots are facing the Cowboys and Brandon Weeden. The Falcons are facing the Redskins and had a really good game defensively last week. The Cardinals are facing Detroit. And that's in Detroit, but the Cardinals have been pretty good. And then the Bucs are facing the Jaguars. And what do we think about that matchup? Are the Bucs worthy of starting against the Jags?
Yeah, I don't love it, but it's worth it if you don't have a better option. Blake Bortles he's going to Bortles because that's what he does
occasionally,
a lot. And so there's just what's the over under on interceptions in that game? Blake Bortles versus Jameis Winston.
5.
I'll say 4.
4.
Take the over.
Winston had 4 last week.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Pretty bad. So I mean, does that make the Jaguars a start too? I think it does. I think they might both be a start.
Can you flex one of those defenses?
Can you flex one?